Hey everyone, my name is Mr. Javan. Today I will be taking you through mathematics and the topic of the day is integers. Please remember to subscribe, like and comment on my YouTube channel. Now the topic of the day we said is integers. Integers. Now, under integers, we will be discussing one, the number line, two, operation on integers, Under operation on integers, we look about addition of integers. We will also look at subtraction of integers. We will also talk about multiplication of integers, and lastly we'll talk about a division of integers. Number 3 on integers, we will discuss order of operation. Now, let's start with the number line. A number line is simply a line that shows the direction where the positive integers are and the direction where the negative integers are, referring to a zero as a reference number. Now, when I draw a number line like this one here, with my zero as a reference number, this direction shows the positive integers and this direction shows negative integers. Now, it means when I move to the right, I am moving towards the positive integers. While when I move to the left, I am moving to the negative integers. Now, when we are talking of an integer, this is simply a number. May it be negative or positive or even zero. It is just a number. It is simply a number, regardless of the sign of that number. Now, all operations on integers can be done using a number line. Let's now discuss the next subtopic, which is operation of integers. The next subtopic, number 2, is operation on integers. I will start with addition of integers. So Roman 1, I start with addition of integers. As I said earlier, operation on integers can be done using a number line. So it means we can add integers using a number line. For example, if we have a sum like I get 1 here, a positive 2 I add to a positive 3. I can use a number line to solve this equation. This is how it goes. I draw my number line here with a 0 as the reference number. As I said, on the right we are going towards the positive integers. I write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the left we go to negative integers. We say negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Well, now when we are adding integers, we go to the number on which we are adding another integer. For example, here our number is 2. It's positive 2. We go to where the positive 2 is. Here it is. Then we are adding positive 3. So it means we move 3 steps on the right where the positives are. I move 3 steps. This is 1, 2, 3. I have moved 3 steps towards the right. So it means I have added 3 on the right. So my final answer is at positive 5. This means a positive 2 I add to a positive 3, I get positive 5. Another example, we can have a positive 5. Positive 5 I add to a negative 1. Positive 5 I add to a negative 1. As we did up there, I draw my number line. I draw my number line here. 0 as my reference number. On the right we said it is positive. I start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the left we have negative integers. I start with negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, and negative 5. Now, we are adding a negative 1 to a positive 5. I said we go to the number on which we are adding another number 2. In our case, our number is positive 5. Our number is positive 5. So we go where the positive 5 is. Here is our positive 5. Then we move 1 step. We move 1 step to the left. I move 1 step to the left. I have moved 1 step to the left. So it means my result is at positive 4. And therefore, a positive 5 I add to a negative 1, my answer is positive 4. And that is how we can use a number line when we are adding integers. Now, the second subtopic on operation on integers, we discussed about a subtraction. So a Roman 2 is subtraction of integers, subtraction of integers. Now, as we did on addition, integers can also be subtracted in the same way. I mean, integers can also be subtracted using a number line. For example, if we have a sum like positive 5, I subtract negative 1. It is a positive 5, I subtract a negative 1. Here I come and draw my number line with my 0 as a reference number. On the right is the positive. I start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the left are negatives. I start with negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Now, I am subtracting a positive 5 to that negative 1. I go where the number I'm being subtracted is. In our case, the number being subtracted is negative 1. The number being subtracted is negative 1. I go where the negative is. That is our number being subtracted. That is negative 1. Then I move 5 steps. I move where the positive 5 is. Here is where the positive 5 is. Then I count how many steps have I moved. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have moved 6 steps towards the right. Now it is positive 6. I have moved 6 steps towards the right. So it means when positive 5 I subtract negative 1, I get positive 6. I can come up with another example. Let's have an example like, I say now example 2. Let this be part A. This is part B. I say maybe negative 3, I subtract positive 6. Negative 3, I subtract a positive 6. I still come and draw my number line here. This is my number line. That's my number line. We have our reference number 0. On the right, we say it is positive. It is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the left, we have the negative integers. That's negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Now, as I said, we go to the number being subtracted. We go to the number being subtracted. The number being subtracted here is positive 6. I go where the positive 6 is. Here it is. Now, I go to the number on which we are subtracting. That number is a negative 3. This is negative 3. Now, I start moving from a positive 6 to the negative 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It means I have moved 9 steps on the left. So this one I have moved 9 steps on the left, and on the left you say it is a negative integer, so it is negative 9. That means negative 3, I subtract positive 6, I get a negative 9. I get a negative 9. Now, the third thing on operation on integers is multiplication of integers. So number 3 is multiplication of integers. Multiplication of integers. On multiplication of integers, there are things we have to understand. The first one is that when we are multiplying a positive integer, I multiply by a negative integer, my result is a negative integer. Again, when I multiply a positive integer by a positive integer, I get a positive integer. Lastly, when I multiply a negative integer by a negative integer, I get a positive integer. Now, having integers that are positive and the other ones that are negative, we can now come up with a solution with the sign that is required. Example 1. Example 1. I can get a question like this. Positive 5, I multiply by a positive 4. I multiply by a positive 4. Because I am multiplying two positive integers, my result must be always positive. So it means I will get a positive 20. The positive 20 is my answer, and the answer is a positive integer because I am multiplying a positive integer by a positive integer. I can say this is part A of the example 1. Part B of the example 1, I can have a question where we are multiplying a negative integer by a positive integer. For example, I multiply a positive 4 by a negative 6. A positive 4 by a negative 6. I am multiplying a positive integer by a negative integer. My result must be a negative integer. So this one gives me a negative 24. So I am getting a negative integer here. Part C of example 1, I can have a question where the two integers are both negative. For example, I get a negative 1, I multiply by a negative 6. The two integers are both negative, so it means my answer must be positive. That is positive 6. In general, when I am multiplying a positive integer by a positive integer, I get a positive integer. When I multiply a positive integer by a negative integer, I get a negative integer. Again, when I multiply a negative integer by a negative integer, I get a positive integer. So this is all about a multiplication of integers. Now I want us to discuss a division of integers. So number 4 on operation on integers is division of integers. Division of integers. Now, also on division of integers, we have 3 or 4 things we have to understand. The first thing is that when I divide a positive integer by a positive integer, my result is a positive integer. The second one, when I divide a positive integer by a negative integer, I get a negative integer. The third one, when I divide a negative integer by a positive integer, I get a negative integer. Lastly, when I divide a negative integer by a positive integer, I get this one we have up there. So when I divide a negative integer by a negative integer here, I get a positive integer. I get a positive integer. Those are the 4 rules that we have to understand when dividing integers. Now, example 2, let's call this one example 2. Example 2, part 1 or part A of example 2, we can have a question that all contain a positive integers. For example, I can get one from here. Let's say positive 10, I divide by a positive 5. I am dividing a positive 10 by a positive 5. It means all my integers are positive. So my result must always be positive. That one I get positive 2. Part B of example 2, part B of example 2, I can have a question where one integer is positive and the other one is negative. For example, get a positive 50, I divide by a negative 25. So I am dividing a positive integer by a negative integer. My result must be negative. So this one gives me a negative 2. A negative 2. Now part C of the same example 2, I can have an integer where one is negative and another one is positive. For example, let me have a negative 6 divided by a positive 3. Negative 6 I divide by a positive 3. One of the integers is negative and the other one is positive. So my answer is still positive. It's still negative, it's still negative. So negative 6 divided by positive 3, my answer is negative 2. Negative 2. Lastly, we can have a situation where the two integers are both a negative. The two integers are both a negative. Let me say number D of the same example. I say negative 25, I divide by negative 5. integers there are negative, and therefore my result must be positive. Therefore my result must be positive. That is a positive 5. Positive 5. In general, we can have this in general. Multiplication and division, or in multiplication and division of integers, Roman 1. Division of integers, Roman 1. Two integers of the same sign, or integers of the same sign give a positive result. Give a positive result. Roman 2, integers of different signs, give a negative result, results. Now, this is all about multiplication and division of integers. Now, the last subtopic on integers allow us to discuss on order of operation. So, number 3, let's discuss order of operation. Order of operation comes when we have two or more operations in an expression to be done. And when we have two or more operations, we simply apply board mass. So a board mass, as it is on the board mass simply means, B means a bracket, O means of, D means a division, M means a multiplication, A means addition, and lastly S means a subtraction. Now, this is the order that we will be using when we have an operation that includes more operations to be done. For example, if I have an operation like this one here, 6 I multiply by 3, I subtract 4, I divide by 2, then I add 5. In this operation we have 4 operations to be done so that we arrive on the answer. Now we will follow our rule board mass to carry out the operation on this sum. Here we have multiplication, subtraction sign, division sign, and addition sign. On our board mass, We will start with division because there is no bracket and there is no off. We will start with the division. So it means it is now 6, I multiply by 3, I subtract 4 divided by 2. This one now in bracket, then I add 5. I start with the division. When I divide -4 by 2, I get -2. So it means it will be 6, I multiply by 3, then I subtract 2, then I add 5. After there, I go to a multiplication, where multiplication is. And the multiplication here, this is where it is. We are multiplying a 6 by 3. I multiply 6 by 3, I get 18. So it is now 18, I subtract 2, I add 5. So I'm done with the division, I'm done with multiplication. I go to addition, where the addition is. The addition is here on our last term. So it is 18, I add to 5 first. 18 plus 5, that is 23. 18 plus 5, that is 23. So I write now 23, I subtract 2. 23 minus 2, because now our last one is subtraction. So 23 minus 2, I get now 21. I get a 21. So this is my final answer. So when we get an operation that includes more than 2 sides, we always apply the formula BODMAS to come up with the answer. Now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment down there.